Well, hey, nerds, welcome to Career AMA Talk, all about games. And you've heard plenty of me talking, so we're just going to go jump right to the good part, which is bringing on the two people who you are here to see. And that is, of course, Lizzie Mintus and Alex Gombos. We are about to jump in and we are going to do 30 consecutive minutes, possibly more, of just answers to your questions. A couple quick housekeeping notes because this is something brand new. We are not going to have on-screen chat. I'm going to bring up questions as they come in so we can kind of do lightning round stuff to add as much value as possible. One quick note, I did want to specifically thank Alex Gombos on the call right here, right now, for sharing out the Games for Love and Nerd Gear May donation drive, which she's wearing the Asterion era shirt right now, Swifties and Baldur's Gate people. If you would like to take part in that, the QR code is right there on screen. All proceeds from sales in the month of May go directly to Games for Love, where we put video games in children's hospitals. And without further ado, let's introduce our guests. You know them, you love them. If we could go Lizzie first and then Alex, and we'll go right into chat.
Great. Hi, thank you for being here. I'm Lizzie Mintus. I'm the founder and CEO of Here's Waldo Recruiting. We are a boutique recruitment firm that focuses on the game industry. I also run a podcast called the Here's Waldo Podcast, where I interview industry experts and everybody in the game industry about their career path up and down. And there's some on career coaching that might be interesting for you. Alex.
I'm Alex Gombos, and you know me from LinkedIn. I am a PlayStation Studios recruitment alum. I am a top voice in recruiting on LinkedIn and the #3 worldwide voice in games. And I just love helping y'all, as you know. Hopefully, if you follow me. So this is my first live, and I'm so excited to come at you today, video and not just, text and images. I'm a real person. So hello, thank you for joining us.
She exists. Quick on screen for everybody. On the top of your screen, you'll notice a QR code that will take you directly to Lizzie's Here's Waldo Recruiting. Please feel free. We'll leave that up on screen. It's conveniently right next to Lizzie's face, so easy association there. Please scan away if you would like some help with getting great talent in games. Let's jump to chat. Okay. Thank you, everybody who's here. We already have several comments, a lot of hey, everybody. One note. First, here's some folks we see a lot of. Thank you for being here, Sorab. We've got Jason Doss. Hello, Jason. Thank you for being here. Courtney, thank you for being here as well. Here we've got Juan De La Cruz and Wendy. Many frequent flyers here. Now is the perfect time for everybody to start throwing out questions for answers, Q's for A's, if you will. We'll bring them up on screen just like you see right now, and we'll do our best to answer as many questions as we can. We obviously won't be able to get to all of them, but here's the cool thing about this, folks. This is now a LinkedIn event that's also a LinkedIn thread. So every comment you make here is actually a comment in chat, which we can respond to later. So please ask all of your questions. And everybody, when you go to this event, you'll see the networking tab. Make sure you click on that because you'll find your entire community there. Everybody who's watched this, attended this. So that was really just me vamping to kind of create some time for questions to get asked. So who would like to ask our first question? Please go ahead and throw it into chat. We have thousands of hi Lizzies and hey Alexes. So many that it would just blow up the screen. So I'll just throw this out here. And here's our very first question. Thank you, Sarish, for asking our first question. Hey all, I would love you guys to talk about how an average audio guy can enter the gaming world. Okay. What do you think?
I love that question. Is it okay? May I take that, answer this first? Okay. So I hired a lot for the audio team at PlayStation, and I get that question a lot. How do you break into the industry? For someone who is your average audio guy, if you will, what I noticed on the reels that would get through to the hiring managers are a lot of audio folks would basically re-audio game reels of the company that they were applying to, right? So it was really important that when you're applying for a job, we can clearly understand that the skills that you have align with the projects that we're hiring for. And so if you can show us that your skills and abilities are at the level or the project that we're hiring for by literally giving us an example of one of our past projects, that was the perfect way games. That's just kind of the first thing that came top of mind. What do you think, Lizzie?
I would agree. I think you should make it very clear how your experience aligns with the job you're applying for. So you can look at the job and you can see the requirements. You can basically put those requirements into your resume. You sort of want to reverse engineer it in a truthful way if you have done those things. And the key to getting a job in audio or not is, for me, you should go above and beyond. I went out of my way. This is the project I'm applying for. I made this demo reel. Here's the highlights, things like that. So just figure out how you can go above and beyond.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point.
I think for me, after many years in tech, recruiting and leading these teams, I would absolutely double click on Lizzie on both points, actually, about being authentic and really representing your career and your path in a way that's true. Because sooner or later, that will pay dividends to you, because the way that you represent yourself on paper and the way that you represent yourself in person should be very congruous. And you're doing a huge favor by really telling an accurate version of your story.
You know what? If there's one last thing I can say about that, it's that I've noticed that the audio world is quite small in the way that a lot of people know each other. And just like any other team that's hiring, but I've noticed specifically within audio, where like hiring teams are not only looking for your technical skills and abilities, culture addition too. And so they have, again, just the audio team that I hired for spent so much time and energy building such a wonderful, crafting such a positive culture for their team, that who you are as a person is also something that's considered. So yeah, your authentic self is so important.
If there's two people who live that the most vibrantly, it's y'all on this call. So couldn't ask for better examples. Before we go to our next question, I do want to quickly highlight below: all opinions shared on this call are exclusively those of those sharing them and not necessarily reflective of any past, present, or future associations or employers. Just to say that out loud, because this is unfiltered, y'all. We're just saying stuff. We're saying our thoughts. Next question from one of our many Wendy's on the call today is: I'm transitioning to a career in writing. How would I go about being a game writer? Wow, big question.
Wendy, congratulations that you've made up your mind on what you are doing. For me in my career, also translatable, I found people that were an expert in what I did, and I just asked them for help, and I asked them how they got there. And I said that I admired their career and I would love some time to chat with them, because there are many people that have done this before. There's so many people that have the same problems that you have and have overcome them. So for me, I would personally find people that you admire, send them a very personalized note, because they're going to get so many notes, and then start doing it. Do stuff in your free time that is going to relate to what you can do in your job and show that you care. That's going to be a common theme.
Networking, and also looking at their LinkedIn profile or wherever you find their, career trajectory, and see how they did it. If it worked for them, I would assume it would work for us too.
This feels a lot like the informational interview too, that invitation to tactfully ask somebody for a few minutes of their time to tell their story. It's easy to forget sometimes that we most enjoy talking about ourselves, right? And that's true of almost everybody in the world, especially people who might be able to help you in your career. And that networking piece and just asking for exactly what you're looking for, no guile, no mystery, no mystique, just, hey, I am so excited to get into this game writing space. You wrote your story into this space, and I'd love to learn how. If you have 15 minutes, I would love to ask for that. Very, very powerful.
Right.
Thank you, Wendy. Oh, sorry, go ahead, please.
Oh, just write down the quote that you just said. That's the perfect introduction.
All right. We've got a company-specific one. Again, reminder, these are only opinions held by those on this call. Sarab, one of our most frequent flyers, thank you for being here, Sarab, asks, any tips for landing a PM role at PlayStation?
So, yeah, that's an interesting one. So I hired a lot of project managers. The product management was a little bit outside of my department. So I don't know if I can speak specifically on that. But again, I'm going to go back. So when it comes to big AAA studios, or publishers, you have to remember that they're looking for someone with previous experience in the realm or the department or the project that they're working on. And so any way that you can connect the dots for that recruiter, for that hiring manager to show, hey, I'm already doing this in this space. I can do it for you. That's going to be your best bet to get your foot in the door. And then, going back to what Lizzie said, as far as the previous question of, if you don't have that experience yet and you're seeking that experience out, connect with the folks within that department, within that role, that are doing it right now, and ask them that specific question of, like, this is what I'm looking to do. Can you help me? Not get my foot in the door, but with my experience, and get to where I'm looking to go.
I would say PlayStation, in my personal opinion, is a great place to work and play. But there are many other companies that are wonderful. And one of the biggest learnings I've learned from interviewing 50 plus extremely successful people in the industry on their career path is that everybody starts somewhere, and it's usually getting coffee for people, or it's a job that is not the job that you think your goal job. You don't just wake up and walk into PlayStation and get that job. You might, but you're probably not going to. So there are many companies that could prepare you for that, or that might be really wonderful that you might not know about. I think a lot of people start their career and they want to work at Blizzard and they want to work at Nintendo and PlayStation because they know those companies. Those companies are wonderful places, but there are many other wonderful places that I encourage you to check out.
And just really quickly.
Please go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, because that's a huge point. Like, if you look at my LinkedIn and what I did before PlayStation, it wasn't even in games, but I was doing this exact thing at an agency somewhere else. Again, showing that I had that skill and experience before going into a larger company. Yeah, that's huge, Lizzie. Sorry, Jon.
Oh, no, please. As we go fast, we're probably going to dance with each other. This is great. But how perfect is this? Because Lizzie, your commentary around kind of how somebody's origin story begins, like I'm thinking of superheroes right now in comic books, how your character before you got your superpowers of your games career. We've got a question here. There's so many coming in that I'm actually having a hard time tracking them, which is a good sign. Here we go. One is curious about how you go about getting an internship in the gaming industry. Talk about, this is like very, very first points of career. Before I pass this to the brilliance on this call, I do want to highlight a resource that many of us probably know about. But if you see the QR code at the bottom of the screen, you will find amirsatvat.com, which is a fantastic place where many people, most notably Amir himself, put many, many hundreds, if not thousands of hours a week. Not 100 hours on Amir's part. I mean, maybe. But thousands of hours go into making free resources available to you, including resources like the indie games, thank you, Eva, like so many other things out there that help you find those resources in a way that's very organized and perfect for you. So there it is on screen. I'm just going to say this for 2 more seconds, and then we'll take it back down and re-highlight our question about how do you go about getting an internship in games?
I start this one off. Okay.
Yeah.
So actually, I started my career at PlayStation as a university recruiter, hiring our 2018 interns. It was so much fun. First of all, I love the interns. I had so much fun in that role, but that's not the question. What we look for when we hire interns, and that's really at any company, is soft skills. So we understand that you're not currently doing the work that we are hiring you to do for that summer potential. And actually, that's something that I'm going to answer next week with my Alex Anything, is what is potential? What does that look like? But do you have the potential to do this internship for the summer or the apprenticeship or whatever it is? And so also understanding that not everyone can intern at another company during their college career. Sometimes you're working in a position that has nothing to do with what you're getting your degree for, because we all have to pay the bills. What are you doing on the side? What are you spending your personal time doing? Are you working on, game jams? Are you collaborating with other students? Are there events that you're putting on at school? Are there events that you're attending outside of school? We talk about GDC. It's the biggest one here in the United States, our biggest gaming event. They always have that Student Fridays. What are you doing outside of just your regular day-to-day classes and potentially your day-to-day job? to up-level yourself and up-level your skills within the gaming industry. And those are always looked at. And then going into maybe perhaps not your question, but what's also really important is your resume, making sure that your resume clearly states all this. Your website or portfolio is listed at the top of your resume. It's easily found. It's, a live link. It's clickable. Make it easy for us, again, to connect the dots to understand that you're doing all these cool things that have to do with the internship that you're applying to.
Yes, I will say, agree completely everything you said. On your resume, take out that you worked at Dairy Queen, take out anything that doesn't pertain to the job that you're applying for because it is irrelevant and it's just wasting space. Instead, add projects, portfolios. Like you said, Alex, please make the link work. Do not link to your empty GitHub ever. And then with regards to internship, I think you can network. You can go to conferences. GDC is expensive, but is there a local networking event that you can show up at every single week and get to know people? Because getting to know people is how you get a job and how the world works. And then you can reach out to people with a very direct message, like Alex when she was in this role, and say, I am looking for this because X, here's the job I'm applying for, not get me a job, because it's not a recruiter's job to get you a job. But I saw this listing. Here is why I think I'm a fit. Would you have a few minutes to discuss?
Funny story. That's how I got my university recruiter job at PlayStation. I reached out to who I thought was the hiring manager and I said, hey, look at these, my last 2 jobs. I have the skills that you're looking for. I've already applied and I look forward to speaking to you further if you feel that my background is fit. Make it easy.
Yes. Courtney just said all those events can be online as well. That's super true. It can be a Slack group. You can join so many different places.
I love that. Make it make sense, right? Like, why am I reaching out to you? There should always be a clear why when you're writing a message on LinkedIn, even when you're attaching a note to all of your LinkedIn connection requests, which please always include a note for you and for the person, but make it make sense, right? Here's why I'm reaching out to you and why this conversation makes sense. So powerful. And Lizzie, you were just highlighting, boy, somewhere in these many comments, somebody had just mentioned that all of these events, like the conventions and things, many of them are available online, if not for free, for very low cost, which is a lot less than flights, hotel, ticket, all the tertiary stuff. So yeah, you don't have to have a ton of money to go and benefit from these conventions. So thank you so much for highlighting that.
There's also quickly, I know Wiggy pays for a certain number of women to go to GDC every year. So there are organizations that do sponsor you to go to these larger conferences. Again, you would have to send a compelling why you should be picked to them, but it's possible.
We also have a quick highlight of a comment. Our very own Alyssa Padilla-Wallace, who is with Midwest Games, COO over there with our very own Ben Cavallo, mentions that the IGDA Foundation community also does exactly that. They create all kinds of incredible on-roads. So you're all going to see a lot of sort of flashing lights of resources here to try to create as much value as possible. And here's yet another one in that series. Alex had just mentioned the Ask Alex Anything. Bam, there's her LinkedIn right there. Please make sure and go and follow so that you can, in fact, ask Alex anything. It's a really good idea. Okay, we've got all kinds of questions about beginnings of careers. And I've got a few that I've marked here that are more about the sort of midpoint. And here's an example of one of those today from a guest that's the first time I've seen them here. So welcome. I'm going to pronounce your name and probably get it wrong. Shahariar. Hey guys, a newcomer to Canada having 7 years of industry experience in concept art from my hometown, but cannot get a job here in the industry. So this one's about Canada. Any thoughts?
Well, I'd like to find out more information about why and unpack that a little bit, but without knowing any information about why. There is a wonderful resource called Game Dev Map, and it lists out all of the studios in whatever location that you're in. And I wonder if you sent personalized notes to the studios, if that would help. Amir has a mentorship program, and I think a mentor would be really helpful. Or just reaching out to somebody who has the job that you want and asking them, again, to share how they got it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. As a newcomer, especially to a new country, just reaching out and making those connections you might not have yet locally or, if hiring remote just in general in Canada is going to be really helpful.
I wonder if there's local meetup groups as well. The other thing I will say is that people like themselves. And you can untrain your bias from yourself, and you should. But I think sometimes people discard things they're not familiar with. So if there's any way that you can familiarize your past work to a more Canadian or to a more American and still be true to yourself, but share it in a way that makes sense for the culture you're now in, I think that could be beneficial.
Reminds me a lot of sort of design thinking, start creating and strategizing with your customer in mind. And in this case, that customer would be a hiring manager or possibly a recruiter, to make sure that you're creating, a compelling initial conversation point. Here
Also
we've got,
add
go ahead, please.
one more thing, right? If you're using ArtStation or updating your website with your portfolio when it comes to art, make sure that you, instead of just slapping it all on one page, divide it up into the different sections. So that way, when a recruiter or hiring manager is looking at your portfolio, they can go straight to the type of art that aligns with what they're hiring.
And make sure you write what you specifically did there, because sometimes people are put off because they think you're taking credit for the whole project when you were just putting it up there and you hadn't noted anything.
All right, here's one that may strike very true for many, especially if you're one of the approximately 30,000 people who have been part of a layoff in the games industry in the last approximately 15 months. So here's one. John Rizzo asks, how are you dealing with deeply experienced, many years applicants? We could maybe frame that as 10 plus years. Many job postings are 2 to 5 years of experience asked for. Rarely we see 10 plus, and we never see 20 plus. Interesting.
That's a good question. Lizzie, do you want to start that one off?
I think you could reach out to people and then applying for jobs. You may find a job from applying for a job, but Amir has some stats and it's unlikely. So I think figure out what kind of company you want to work for, figure out the need, talk to your friends in the industry. I think it is true, depending on how far you've gone up the leadership ladder, a lot of those jobs are never posted. And so you will need somebody to let you know of that.
That's a huge tip. That's actually something I'm dealing with right now, because I was laid off from PlayStation in a leadership role. And what I'm seeing posted within games and recruiting are a lot of individual contributor recruiter roles. And for me, what I personally do when I see highly experienced people, 10 plus years, applying to the 2 to 5 year job that's posted, is if I think that otherwise they'll be a fit, my biggest concern is salary expectations, right? Because if I'm with a company, I'm hiring within a specific budget or salary range. And then career expectations. So email to that applicant and say, hey, I saw your application come through. I noticed you are overqualified for the role, which is not a negative thing, but I want to be very upfront that my budget is X amount of dollars and we can't go above that. The expectation for this role is no leadership responsibilities, or just there's mentorship responsibilities, but you're not managing a team. Or, hey, actually, what you may not know is we are looking to grow within the next few years, and there might be that type of opportunity, but not right now. Is that something that you're willing to consider in order to continue the conversation? And if someone says yes, I can hop on the phone and have a further conversation. If they're like, well, actually, I wouldn't accept a role lower than X amount of dollars, or a role that doesn't allow for me to grow within 1 year, then hey, no harm, no foul. At least we had that conversation, and now I know. And we can stay in touch about a future role, like Lizzie said, that I might open up, but may not be posted.
Huge. Again, coming back to building that network, right? This one is, I'm so excited that Kat is asking this question, because if neither of you were on this call, I would be messaging you on LinkedIn asking if you could jump on this call right now to answer this question. Because Kat asks, to further my career a bit in the industry, I've been considering doing talks at various industry events. I'm super nervous though, and would prefer to participate on a panel. How do you find others to join a panel with you in your area? Lizzie, you create community. Alex, you enhance it and create it everywhere you go. So So thank you, Kat, for asking this question. Lizzie, do you want to start with us? Because you created the Here's Waldo podcast as a way to do this.
Yes, I love to build communities. I corral people to do all kinds of things. Recruiting was made for me. I just asked. I asked Jon and Alex if they wanted to do this event with me, and now we're doing it. Every single thing is just made up. I would check out conferences and check out speakers that align with you, and know everybody is scared of public speaking. People are more scared of public speaking than death. So it's normal and it's okay. And I just had this conversation last night with a friend. Everybody in the audience is rooting for you to succeed because they're scared of public speaking too. So good for you for putting yourself out there.
Yeah. I mean, she's right. Just reached out and asked me, and I'm like, yeah, of course I want to, collaborate and participate in something like this. And I think, Kat, for someone like you who might just be exploring this for the first time, take a step back, figure out what your goals are, what your ambitions are, and what you want out of this panel or this chat. So when you do approach someone, you're able to approach them with that information, and they can determine, if it's right for them. Or you can say, like, this is a perfect opportunity for you to expand your platform and your networking opportunities.
Huge. To talk quickly about something we've touched on a couple different points, which is compensation. The question before this, we were talking a little bit about a term that if this was a call of all recruiters, we'd be using terms like IC, PL, leveling, job codes, because there is actually, and it's interesting, I don't know if everybody knows this, but there are tools out there made by companies like Radford that provide job levels that give you consistency of compensation levels by geography. And so that largely establishes cost of employment, not necessarily cost of labor. But this is a way that many companies will find a way to make it more fair and more consistent, that they're able to compensate people across, which can sometimes be good, sometimes be a little limiting. But it's an interesting fact that I myself didn't know until I was actually in this industry, which is an interesting thing. If you want to learn more about that, I suggest Googling Radford codes and job leveling compensation ranges. All right. Thank you, Jon, for the compliment for my shirt and for Alex's shirt. That is very sweet. Here's Wendy Prantner. Wendy asks, this may be a tricky one. I'm split between the education and gaming world. Trying to merge the two is tricky since the roles are pretty rare, but can also be in different departments and areas. Tips for navigating this? ?
Wendy, I have so many thoughts for you, and I have so many connections for you. There's big games in education collides world, and send me a message with specifics and I'll connect you to it.
I love this. Lizzie, you're exactly right. I mean, a gaming college or a gaming university, so many people that I am connected to now are like part of the academic department or like career department within games. Like gaming and education is one of my favorite things. I love working with students and doing what I can to volunteer. So like Lizzie said, there's a ton of resources out there. She's going to be better than me. But you're in good hands.
Here's something fun. So to Wendy Prantner, Wendy Simpson says, thanks for asking that question. Wendy returns with Wendy Power, and then Kat throws out a love all the Wendy's. Fun fact, www before all websites stands for Wendy, Wendy, Wendy. I don't know if anybody knew that, but that's a fact. Okay, let's see what we've got here. Hashtag dad facts? No. Misha asks, I'm interested in roles in animation in games. Cool, another animation question. But not sure how to make the skills transferable. How can I show my skills of 5 years? Thank you for making that specific, by the way, Misha. How can I show my skills of 5 years if I only have 1 full year as my longest studio experience? Ooh, good question. Dang.
Transferable. Okay, so 1 full year in a game studio, I'm assuming. I guess. Anyways, I would say it kind of goes back to kind of getting into the industry with a lot of these other questions is, show us how your skills are transferable. Make it easy for us. Animate something within the realm of the games of the studio that you're making. I know that's going to take a lot of extra time. I totally understand that. So I don't say that lightly. But trust me when I say that it is so helpful. I hired a lot of animators, games, and when it was super easy to look at a reel, and it doesn't have to be like an example of a game that you're applying for, but it needs to be at the level. If you're a 2D animator looking to get into 3D, work animation on your off time. You've got to do that in order for you to jump into that other side.
Yes, that's it. Do work on your own time. Learn whatever tools you're going to have to learn in the job that you want ahead of time and showcase how you've learned them. Make it really clear. I can't hear you, Jon.
I was doing a ventriloquism practice, but this one might have actually come through Twitch through to LinkedIn, which is really interesting. But German Salas asks, for a game developer position, how much weight is given for a portfolio experience compared to a bachelor's degree in computer science or similar field? Awesome question for real early career folks.
So I think that when you start your career, your degree gets you in the door, and then there is a tipping point where your experience starts to matter more. So to get your foot in the door, you're going to have to do a lot more work without your bachelor's degree to show that you can program. Maybe you can study LeetCode for 3 months or something like that. Or maybe you can build a lot of games on your own and showcase what you can do, but that will be a hurdle. It's possible, but you're going to have to work harder. And once you have unlocked whatever years of experience and you have made meaningful contributions at your startup or at your big company, then it doesn't matter as much. It depends on the hiring manager.
Depends on the hiring manager and the role specifically, right? I mean, I hired artists who were self-taught, and I hired, more technical ML, AI people that, we really did heavily weight their degree. And also to remember that a lot of these companies and studios have short tests, that you're able to showcase your skills within the role that you're applying to as well.
Ooh, and if you get rejected, you could always ask to take the test on your own, or even before, like with your application, you could always say, I'm more than happy to take a test that will showcase my abilities.
Yeah.
That's super powerful in my experience, especially with AI and machine learning at larger companies. This is before these were household words. Oftentimes you're hiring out of programs that were created a year prior to inform the tech that's being created right then, which means there is no depth of experience. You're not going to find more than a year of experience in some of these cases, because that idea, say, take natural language processing, NLP, that didn't really exist that long ago. And so you couldn't look for somebody with 5 years of experience for something that was been around for 2 years. And so actual practical testing and slightly more on the maybe positional experience, like, hey, let's spend a day together. That sort of stuff is much, much more common. Thank you so much. Our guests have just confirmed that we are going to go to the 12:45 mark. And even still, we're probably going to answer 1 in 20 of these questions. So reminder to everybody, again, please visit chat and you will see these questions later, as well as responses to them from everybody. I do want to highlight a resource. So both Lizzie and Alex have called out a number of amazing names. Alexander Rem really consistently highlights some of the people who we've discussed today, names that you haven't even heard yet. You'll see there names like Justin Williams, like Aaron Goldsmith, like Alex, like Lizzie, like Amir, like so many others that are out here just really trying to create community and help. And Alex does a really wonderful job of aggregating that together and giving you a sort of link tree of sorts. That is his post, I believe, from this morning. So it's fresh off the griddle, folks. Get it while it's hot. Just kidding. It's always hot. That's the thing. Okay, let's see who we've got here. We got more questions. Ooh, we got one from legal. Yeah, here we go. For an attorney looking to enter the field from an outside industry, what is the best approach to resume drafting and networking? Asks James Richardson.
Resume drafting? I don't know. See what all the other lawyers' resume template looks like, but you can find many wonderful resume templates online. It should be 1 page, maximum 2. Should be really simple and very clear what you've done. So you can practice and ask for feedback, especially if you're just starting out. Make sure you don't have any typos. I think you should spend a lot of time on your resume. Your resume is the gateway. And I have seen hiring managers discard a resume of someone very qualified because they have a bunch of sloppy typos. So take it really seriously. And networking, I'm sure there's tons of events. Facebook, LinkedIn, Eventbrite, local community, colleges. I'm sure there's tons. You should follow Don McGowan. I had him on my podcast. He was the chief legal officer at Bungie and Pokemon, and he is hilarious.
Nothing else to add. That was gold.
No notes. Well, that's actually perfect because, Alex, this question is directly for you, and it's a really beautifully worded one. So, Hannah, evening from the UK. Clap, clap, clap. This question is for Alex. Firstly, I love your energy. Amen. You've remained vibrant, bubbly, and unwavering as someone who's also been recently laid off. How do you maintain that mindset? As personally, I still have my ups and downs, roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah, those emotions. Oh my goodness. So here's the thing, me too. The ups, a lot, for a while, the downs were a little bit more than the ups, but it was really important to me just to take that step back and listen to my body and my mind and my heart and what it was telling me. And so when I got laid off, I'll be honest with you, for the first 10 days, I stuck my head in the sand. I was like, this is not real and this is not happening, because for my own personal mental health, I needed to just not deal with it. And so I have a big platform on LinkedIn. I didn't want anyone to think I had just disappeared. So I made a post and I said, hey, I've just been laid off from the best job I've ever had in my life. And I need to take a step back from all the things that I do to put myself out there, from the work that I'm doing, so that when I come back, I can come back better and stronger and have that mental stability and strength that I continue to have. So I'm someone that likes to sit in their emotions. I don't think that's a negative thing. And so when my body or mind, today's not the day, or I don't have the capacity or whatever it is to be my normal self, I just listen to myself. If I just need to, turn off my laptop and stay in my pajamas all day, and crack a beer a little bit earlier than I probably should, and call out, reach out to my network, and when my dogs were alive, just hug my dogs, or find a friend's dog to hug, or some pet that I can just talk weird to because I just love them, and that's what brings it is that brings you joy. Do that thing so that you can go to bed knowing that you took care of yourself today, and you can wake up tomorrow just continuing to persevere. Because, am I allowed to cuss really quickly?
This is unfiltered.
Yeah. The no filter, full in action.
This shit sucks. Like, it just sucks. And so, but at the same time, it's important that as I continue to have this external persona and apply to jobs, I want to put my best foot out there. And so whatever happens in the background, I allow it to happen so I can continue to be, thank you, the energetic, vibrant person that I am, because that's my true self. So just listen to yourself, allow yourself the downtime, be good to yourself. And like, when you look in the mirror, remind yourself how amazing you are. Like, you have to take care of yourself. No one else is going to do it for you. So like, give yourself a big hug and remember that. That was so mushy.
No, it's so good. I'm so glad someone asked a question that was more like your spirit as well as your profession, right? I think I'll throw out one thing. One of my favorite sayings is Vibe Tribe Wallet. And I think about Vibe Tribe Wallet when it comes to prioritizing, right? If you're gonna spend your precious, scarce time on something, if it doesn't elevate your vibe, your tribe, or your wallet, I probably am not going to do it, right? That's just my own approach. And honestly, if your vibe is hit hard because you just got laid off and your entire identity is in question because games mean so much to so many people, and when that changes, that can shake your core, and that's okay. And that's when your tribe comes in, right? And so you're going to be glad that you have it. And fortunately, there's folks like Alex and Lizzie here who build these tribes all day long. So thank you to both of you for creating spaces that I truly believe and I have personally seen have really helped people in ways that are way more meaningful than I can say on camera without getting emotional. So that's huge. That is just absolutely huge. Let's see here. John here asks a question that I think is probably front of mind for a lot of folks, but maybe not even front of mouth, because we use LinkedIn a lot, but sometimes I think we might wonder, like, what am I actually doing on here? I'm supposed to be making connections and I'm like doing stuff, but what do I do with this stuff? So John asks, any tips on leveraging connections made on LinkedIn into actual work? I'm waiting on a few studios to start hiring again. What can I do in the meantime?
What can't you do? You could have a LinkedIn Live yourself. You could reach out to different people and see how you can help them. You can make connections at these studios and ask if you can volunteer on something. You can make fan art for the studio. The world's your oyster. I'm excited for you.
I love the making connections and help others in the meantime, right? Because if you help someone land a job, who are they going to remember? It's going to be you.
That's beautiful. Be part of a story that you want to tell, right? That you would want to be told about, which is huge.
I also think I love when people reach out to me. I had a guy that I hired to work for me. He reached out to multiple people at my company and said, I really want to work here, and here's why. And he was very real. And he just kept in touch and he kept at it. And it was awesome. And eventually we hired him. I was flattered. So people love that. Keep doing it.
That is an awesome. That's the story we all want to be part of. Alex, I just want to quickly highlight, there's several comments here that are calling out and basically thanking you for the transparency and the openness. I would actually highlight this not only on this call, but in your posts as well, with just really having an open dialogue about the psychological and social impacts of career shift that wasn't planned, which is a really overly flowery way of saying layoffs. So really awesome. Just wanted to highlight that this appears to be very meaningful for our audience, which is really cool. Okay, we've got time for one last question. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, please.
Oh, I just saying, I appreciate it. I feel the love. That's amazing.
You know what? We've got so many more questions. I feel like it's almost a disservice to try to pick one from the remaining. And since we've only got 2 minutes left, why don't we just create maybe space for like closing thoughts, parting thoughts? I'll go first because it's not fair that I would just spring this on either of you and be like, quick, say things. So I'll just say this. The fact that so many people showed up today is a testament to the community that is built around games. I believe that's because we grew up playing games. We socialize, we connect through games. It kept us alive and sane through COVID. It keeps building communities today. And so I think that when it's something this meaningful, it's pretty amazing to see everybody show up to help one another. Again, go in, look who came to this call, because that's your tribe. Find those folks and connect with them, include a note in the connection request. And that would be, those are my parting thoughts.
I would say lean on all the resources that you have seen up today. Obviously, I'm a big believer in not giving up. And if you're doing what you love, but you've been knocked down, just dust yourself off and get back up again. Again, like when I wake up in the morning and I look in the mirror, I have to love the person that I see, and I have to believe in the person that I see in the mirror. And so a lot of positive self-talk has happened over the last 2 months, and just keep doing it within, the realm of that possibility.
Thank you all for showing up. Evan asked if we will do another one. Yes, we'll be announcing that soon. But my thoughts are, thank you to everybody who showed up. This community is incredible. And my whole recruiting business is built on people that I've hired before. And I started my business just by reaching out to my network. And everybody is here to support one another. Most people in games have been laid off at one point. Things are shitty, like Alex said right now. This is unfiltered, but it's not going to be terrible forever. So now is a great time to figure out, take a look at yourself in the mirror. What do you really want to do? What are your aspirations? You have an opportunity with this slowdown right now, even if it doesn't feel like that. And I don't want to push positivity on you, but there is some upside, and things are, I think, from a recruiting standpoint, starting to improve already. So I'm excited to see the continued up and up.
Yeah, it wasn't long ago before we had, like 10 applicants per open role, and we were fighting out there to source anybody. And now, of course, it's the opposite. But that pendulum has started to swing back in the other direction. We'll be there when it does. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And above all else, thank you to our two amazing Alex Gombos and Lizzie Mintus, mentors, resources, brilliant lights in our community here today. And hope to see you all in the next one.
Yay. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Woot, woot.